So are we ready?
This is Jay,
This is A,
and this is Moxicated.
where we drop the booze and walk through the reality of life alcohol-free.
So grab your favorite mock, get ready to laugh, and let's get Moxicated.
Hello.
Hi,
Welcome back.
I'm so excited
Me too.
because we have a guest. We have a very exciting guest
Yes, the most exciting.
for us.
Yes.
No offense.
No offense to our other guests.
But we have Suzanne Warye. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You guys, you really the most excited. I don't know. That's a big buildup. Let's see. Let's see if I
Okay.
deliver. I don't know. I don't know.
I think you will.
I think you will. We love you. That's all.
Well, I love you ladies.
And yeah, so tell us who you are.
Okay. You guys, this is always the hardest question. Like, who are you? What's your story? I'm a mom first. I'm a sober mom. I quit drinking almost 5.5 years ago, which feels bananas now. I used to be a party girl in high school and college. I was a party girl and loved it, by the way. I've been thinking a lot lately about why I loved being a party girl, and it was the power. Like I loved the power of
Wow.
of like walking into a club. Like I loved a club. I was a bartender in college before I was 21, which is also
Wow.
pretty
Yeah.
sketchy.
Yeah, I was a
And
cocktail waitress before 21.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I feel, is that legal? I feel
it
like it's
is.
not.
In New
Is it?
Mexico, you have to be 19 and
Yeah.
take like a
Okay.
server class. But yeah, it is legal
Okay.
in New Mexico.
Okay. Well, Wisconsin you probably can be it at like 12 then,
I was
maybe.
gonna say.
But I also did not take a class. There was no class. There was just like, just sling some drinks and dance. But I loved it. My party girl ways extended, you know, into my 20s, into my late 20s, and it got a lot less fun. I would say it was binge drinking. It was a work hard, play hard kind of situation in Chicago. I lived in downtown Chicago with young professionals, and we would
Wow.
kind of do that. And it was the story of like party, go out, and then recover on Sundays, the shame spiral, the just
Hmm.
really, really hating it and thinking I just have to do it better. Like I have to figure out a better way to drink.
Yeah.
I have to drink in a more orderly fashion. I need to do water in between. All
Mm.
of the rules that we make. So I went through that. And then I got married. I'm kind of fast forwarding because otherwise my story would take this whole the whole time.
I love
Um,
it.
I got married at 33, and we very quickly had our first baby. I have 3 kids now, and you know, I was an influencer then. I started influencing right after my first daughter was born, and that was kind of the start. It was 10.5 years ago. It was the start of mommy wine culture.
Ugh.
And while I didn't totally fall into mommy wine culture, I think because I was also in the depths of OCD and postpartum OCD, and like really, really struggling with that. And so almost there was like no room in my brain for anything else.
Yeah.
But I promoted mommy wine culture. I made alcohol seem glamorous, even though I wasn't drinking it much. I worked with vodka brands to like make vodka girly and chic again, and wine
Mm.
brands. And I had collaborations with a lot of alcohol brands. And even if I wasn't drinking the alcohol, you guys, I would do a campaign for vodka and then pour it down the drain because I just wasn't a
Wow.
vodka drinker. But I was
Yeah.
like, sure. Like morals are loose. This was like the wild, wild west of influencing too in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2016, where it was
Yeah.
like, oh, you're gonna pay me? Okay, cool. Got it.
Tell
I
me what
don't,
to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. This is easy. I can make
Yeah.
this look good. I don't do that anymore, but it was definitely like I just looked at it like a challenge, like, okay, yeah, I can make this look good
Mm.
and I can sell this. without really asking any more questions. Um, and then, as I would have babies, have more babies, I did slip back into not how I drank before. It wasn't the binge drinking, the party girl, obviously, because I'm a mom and I'm trying to be present and be with my kids and I'm not going out to bars. But I always thought and assumed that, okay, alcohol is going to be in my life. I have to make this work, right? And so what does a grown-up drinker look like? What does a 35-year-old drinker look like? Okay, I'm gonna have obviously it's wine because that's very grown up. And and so I'm going to, drink while I'm cooking, have 2 glasses of wine and that's it. Have maybe 3 glasses of wine on the weekends and that's it. And I really stuck to that. And I was like the moderation champion. And I was like, you guys, look at me go. Like, look at me fucking go. Because I'm nailing this drinking thing.
Yeah.
Except I really, I hated it. Like, I hated it. Even when I drank successfully, and I'm doing that in like big quotes, um, that shame was the same. And it still felt like I let myself down. I
Mhm.
still had like heightened anxiety. It was all of the very familiar feelings from my 20s with drinking and just that kind of toxic relationship with it followed me. And I would spend a lot of time thinking about it, monitoring everybody else's drinking around me. Like, okay, are they getting another one? Okay, if they're getting, does that mean, is that okay? Should I? And I wasn't drinking every weekend, but it was just a constant through line. Um, and after every baby, I kind of had to like get over the hump of being like, this tastes like ethanol,
Yeah.
right? And like
Yeah.
like this, you guys, this tastes like poison. So
Yep.
obviously, like I just got to keep drinking it so it doesn't. And then I
Mm.
would get over that hump and then be back into it. And the last time I drank was January 19th, 2020. And I had just had my third baby. He was 3 months old. And so this was the first time I was drinking. And I breastfed, but I was always like it's more of an art than a science. Like he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Um, kind
An
of
art
thing.
than
Like,
a
I
science.
mean, I'm not a chemist or anything.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get out any strip. Like I was just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And and I never really drank. Like my kids have never seen me drunk. It wasn't ever that. But this night I went out to like a fancy pants party and it was the bottomless champagne. And when like I have no idea how much I drank because it was just never empty and you just keep going with it. And I blacked out, which I hadn't done. I think I mean, I had probably blacked out twice. That was probably the second time since being a mom. And I nursed my baby in a blackout because there's just, I don't have proof of this, but there's no way he slept through the night. He was 3 months old, and my babies were like horrible sleepers. So, you know, I probably nursed him, I'm guessing twice. Nursed him at least once in a blackout. And just the idea of that, um, you know, I I don't have shame around it anymore, but it gets me, right in the
Oh,
center of
yeah.
of my chest, the
Yeah.
idea. So I quit and I decided that morning to quit and I was like terrified because I had no idea what that meant. And I didn't know anyone else who didn't drink. Like,
Hmm.
I was not, this was never a part of the plan. I wasn't ever sober curious. I had never tried to quit. I had never even, I just didn't think it was an option until that day when I was like, I'm done. And so, really, from that point on, when I told my husband I was done, I just did everything in my power to make sure I had just told the truth. Like, that will be true, that statement. And I didn't know what it meant. And so I just went from there. And then I started this whole process. that we do when we decide to quit drinking. And it was a long one. But I mean, now I sit here at, yeah, almost 5.5 years sober, and I can still bring myself back to that moment and
Mm.
very easily like come back and just remember me then. And I'm just, wow, so grateful. So grateful.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear your perspective because Allie and I hear stories of moderation so often, and it's like for us, that was never
Never.
attainable. And
Yeah.
like for you to be successful at it, but to still feel the shame spiral, like that is such a message that I feel like needs to be louder because like some of us feel like you can't be successful at moderation, while some people do find success in moderation, but that doesn't mean that the rest of it is eliminated. You know, the shame spiral, the
Yes.
anxiety, like that's still as present, even if you're like, I am kicking ass at this. Like
Right.
such a good thing for everyone to hear that,
Yes.
you know, you can be really good at the moderation part. But that doesn't necessarily mean that like drinking is going well for you.
I think that's so true because when we're taught moderation is the goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the end all, like that is the goal. But we never question, okay, but what does that take? So what's the
Mhm.
cost? If that's the goal, great. What's the cost of that? And, I'm not a scientist, but when it comes down to it, it's just science. Like something as highly addictive as alcohol, in order to consistently keep it in your life and consume it on a regular basis and a- attain moderation with it, the cost is, I think, something far greater than
Mm,
we've ever recognized or ever even been willing to talk about. And for
totally.
me, it was mental energy. It was, I mean, just so much focus on that,
Yeah.
right? On
Yeah.
thinking about, okay, what did I do wrong? What are we going to do? This in between this, drink more water, eat more. I'm going to have two and then I'm done. I'm going to have one and then I'm done. I'm not going to drink tonight, but okay, then I can tomorrow. Like all of this stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just don't think that we even realize. I know I didn't realize that until alcohol was like squarely in my rear view mirror, that I could say
Mm,
like, okay, now that, the blinders are off, like we can now slowly start to tell the truth about not only how we have used alcohol in the past, how I had, right? To like numb and belong and connect and escape and conform and all the ways we use it, but what it had taken from me.
yeah.
Because I can't point to losing much on the outside. Like, I can't point to a DUI or, lost a lost marriage, lost custody, I just can't point to that. But that just has never meant that I haven't lost anything to alcohol. And like very,
Mm,
very worthwhile thing,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah.
Totally. Gosh, so good.
Yes.
Our sobriety dates are so close. I didn't realize we're like
Wait,
three
what
months
is
apart.
yours? Really?
Yeah, October 1st, 2019.
Oh,
Which is
so good.
and I'm wondering, and I'm sure you'll get into this a little bit more when you transitioned over to like alcohol free on your Instagram, because that's how I found you. You were
Yeah.
one of the first like sober influencers, you know, that because you know, when we quit there it wasn't out there.
Yeah.
And so
No.
I'm wondering like, gosh, how much longer did that take for me to find you and find other sober pages in our journey? Because
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't around then.
No, it really wasn't. And it's weird to think about. Like there weren't all of these podcasts. There weren't Yeah,
Yeah.
there wasn't like this sober influencers just weren't a thing. And which is amazing how far we've come in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But I think I really probably kept it to myself. Actually, I started the Sober Mom Life Instagram page and didn't share it for a while. So I think I started it in
Mm.
June. I quit in January. I started it in June just to like I'm just a marketer and an influencer at heart. Like that's just how my brain works. So I was like, well, obviously I'm going to share this eventually, but not yet because I'm still figuring stuff out and figuring
Yeah.
out how I think about my sobriety and like what is it and yeah, so I started that page and just didn't tell anybody. And then I think I started the podcast first before I started sharing the Sober Mom Life Instagram page. And then
Wow.
once I started getting just like crazy good feedback, which I was terrified. I think it's really easy to look back and look in someone who's, considered successful in a space. I think it's really easy to assume like, well, obviously, right? They know what they're doing and they have a good message. And like, of course people are gonna like, no.
Yeah.
No. There wasn't that. There was just like 100% doubt and fear and like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm an imposter. Like,
Mm,
I think I started the podcast at like maybe 2 years sober. And I was like, to me, like that felt a lot, but in the scheme of things, people are going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, shut up. Like, this message is so new and maybe it's wrong and all of the doubts, right?
yeah.
Um, and then once you start hearing good feedback, it's like, okay, maybe this is something. And then I had already had a good following. It was my kind of sweet at that time, um, fashion and motherhood. And I slowly started bringing it to that Instagram because I was like, okay, let's just test the water over here because it's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
had built this like loyal following over years, and then to like flip the script on them
Yeah.
was like, are they gonna follow or are they gonna be like, are they gonna feel judged, right? That I'm talking
Yeah.
about like quitting drinking and how good it is. And yeah, and then I slowly started bringing it over there, and then I finally made the jump um a couple of years ago. I don't remember exactly, but it was a big decision, and it's more than just influencing. There's so much that goes on behind it. It was more than just like, well, now I'm going to start posting sobriety. It really meant cutting ties with my manager who was handling all my campaigns and really saying like, I am no longer going to be this influencer that people have known. I'm going to try to do something different and try to create my own community and do this on my own rather than relying on brands and sponsorships and deals. I'm going to just see if I can grow this thing on my own and really go into this sobriety thing. And I mean, thank God it worked, but
Yeah.
I didn't know
Well,
if it was going to. It was a big jump. It was a big jump. And I just thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it and like put everything into it. And then let's just cross our fingers and see. And it worked.
and it
Yeah.
worked. It
And
worked
it
well.
worked.
Did
Yeah.
it, did your manager like doubt you and say don't do that, or did you have any of that pushback with them, or
No, she was wonderful. And she was like, I think like because she could see as I was kind of trying to figure it, like I was posting fashion and still doing campaigns, but then I would put sobriety in there and she was like, your sobriety content really, really resonates. And I can tell that's what you're passionate about, right? Like that is where you're creatively like thriving. And the other stuff, I was just like, it'd be a chore to post and to like get into the
Mm,
campaigns. And I think it became clear to both of us, like, yeah, this is the right direction. And I love her and she's amazing and she still supports, everything and she's amazing. But just having like an honest conversation, like, yeah, my heart's not in this anymore.
yeah. Yeah.
Because when I felt so passionately about my sobriety and like sharing this kind of new way of not waiting for rock bottom, I just wanted everyone to hear it. And like
Yeah.
that really lit a fire. So yeah, she's awesome.
it's cool. In my
Yeah.
head, I'm like, this could be a movie, the manager that does
Right.
it. In the
What if
pushback.
totally? What if she started some campaign against me? Like that
Yeah,
would be
no, in my
yes.
head, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I need to know more about
Yeah.
this.
Like the
No.
drama. No
Yes.
drama. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Because what a relief.
Yeah.
Because that would
Yes.
have been
Oh,
so much more stressful.
Well, and
totally.
it's so cool because like I see I am not an influencer, but I definitely get a behind the scenes look like so often at what Al does. And
Yeah.
it's so cool to like go from a situation where you're like, okay, this is what I need to post. It's not that you're not passionate about it, but it's more like a workflow to then go into something where you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just want to get this story out. I just want to tell people about this. We always used to say if one person
Yeah.
like stops drinking
Mhm.
alcohol, then that's cool. That's all we did it for.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and it blossoms from that. Like
Yes.
you go in so scared, but because you're like, no, this is why I'm doing it, it just grows and
Yeah.
blooms and
It really does. I think as I'm thinking back, my husband was probably the one because he's like the businessman, right? He's kind of the yeah, he's my business consultant. And also I was able to do this because of him, right? I'm very, very blessed that I can make these moves and like take chances like this. And I
yeah,
told him, you know, influencing up until that point had been a good career and like making money on campaigns and doing all that. And this was saying like I'm actually stepping away from that and kind of starting over. And like the books are going to show it, you know? Like I don't like we're going to take a hit from this. I don't know how long, but like we're regrowing something and we're going to start at zero again, which was tough after growing something
Yeah.
for,
yeah,
probably 6 years at that point, maybe 7 years. Yeah, to be like, that was good and I liked it. I think this could be better, but we're taking a chance. And so
yeah.
he was probably the one being like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, but hopefully,
Yeah.
Yes.
like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'm not sure this is gonna work. Let's see. Yeah.
And it did. And then the cafe came along.
Yes.
And you know what? Even before, okay, this is so funny. This is so funny because before the cafe, it was Patreon. And I was like, okay, because I wasn't making money on the podcast. I wasn't making money on Instagram. I was making zero money, right? And I was like, and not like I do this to make money, but it's a business and I
Yeah.
have, I have people I pay and I have bills and I and I have it's a
Yeah.
business. And so I'm like, okay, well I gotta make some income from this in order to keep this thing going and with the podcast and everything. And so then I did Patreon and I just did like bonus episodes and I would read at the end of every episode on the podcast, I would read the people who were supporting the Patreon. I would thank them like by name. And you guys, this is so embarrassing. I Okay, so I had like the names on the screen, right? And I'm like, thank you to Jen and Kate and Kristen and Suzanne. And in my head, I'm like, that's you because you signed up to pay yourself $5 a month to look like you would have one more supporter on Patreon. Because probably at that point I had like 14 people. And I'm like, well, I need 15. And so obviously I'm going to sign up for my own Patreon. And I'm like rolling through the names and I'm like, oh my God, I just thanked myself and I have to just pretend it's a different Suzanne. But literally it was me. And so if like
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I
No.
literally signed up for my own Patreon to make it,
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, well, if you build it, they'll come. But I have to like, yeah, it's like voting for
Yeah.
yourself, I guess. Like I would vote for
Yeah.
myself. So I did
Yeah.
it, but
Every time.
that was a humbling moment that I'm like, okay, okay, I'm thanking myself for supporting myself. Fine, it's fine.
Hey.
Oh God. I'm
Uh,
like hot. I'm hot right now thinking about that.
Sometimes we need to thank ourselves.
Yeah.
We do. I know. I probably should have. Yeah, I should have started with me, like Snape. But it was, yeah. So then the Patreon, that grew, and we outgrew that, and then it became clear like we had we started with one free weekly meeting, peer support meeting, and then it just kept growing and growing, and it was like, no, we need more, and then it could no longer be free because just because of liability, and you need to, terms and conditions and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it just kept growing and growing, and we started with a different platform. We outgrew that, and now we're at home on Mighty Networks, which is a great platform, and we have I I think we have like 500 women in there that grows every day, and who are just, you know, it's wild to me, because it's just wild to me, because when I quit drinking, I literally thought I was the only one who was like struggling moderating and feeling the shame from just moderating, and like, but not losing everything to alcohol. But like, I hated my I thought everyone else had it figured out.
Hmm.
And so it was always about, well, let me just see if I'm not the only one. Like that was always my like goal, is just like, let me just see if there are other women. And so now when I get to like sit in on meetings with these other women who I was like, are you out there? And they're like, yes, I think that's me too. And
Yes.
I get to hear them. It's just I can't even explain to you how just honored I am that I get to like witness that. And it's all for that, all of it.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. It's something that is really cool, I think, for Al and I when we first well, we first met Suzanne at a retreat.
Yeah.
And when we first went to that retreat, we did not know about the cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was something that we entered in after the retreat. And it's just so beautiful. I mean, I was in a meeting last week and exactly what you're talking about happened. There was actually a girl that was like, I don't even think I belong here. And I
Hmm.
can't even tell you, like the chat was like, because it was
Yeah.
like, you belong, you belong, you belong, you
Yes.
belong. And then she proceeded to tell her story. And everyone after that came in and were like, me too, me too, me
Oh,
too. And she was like, I do belong here.
oh,
You
that like I
know?
could
I have the
cry.
chills.
I
I know.
know.
And that's such a balm to your soul after really like being so quiet about our relationship with alcohol, right? Because
Yeah.
we're always taught like not to talk about it, and like you just pretend you have this shit figured out, and then
Yeah.
it's just eating us up inside.
Mm.
Oh, it's the I'll never get tired of those stories. Like that's the best.
Yeah. I think too, it was not shocking to me, but being sober for so long and then
Yeah.
like starting, like adding in this into my routine, going to these meetings and things, it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I like my next step in sobriety almost. Because we all have years behind us, and it's
Definitely a
like,
chunk.
okay, so like what's next? Like, where are we going next? What are we doing? And for me, joining the cafe, I was just like, I didn't even know how much I needed this, like the community and the Me Too's. And then two, I think a lot of women, because there are women in there that are very newly sober, some
Yeah.
that are just sober curious. I think too, which we all talk about on our podcast, just sharing our stories and talking to other people is so inspiring and uplifting for people that are sober curious or wondering what's next
Hmm.
for them or how do they do it, or just like you said, like, is there anybody out there? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah, it's just super cool.
And
Yeah.
you guys, I love that, because you guys are those like bright lights at the end of the tunnel, right?
Oh,
Like you've got that time under your belt. You're like fucking, I hope I can swear on here because I have to
Yes.
yeah.
say, oh my
Yes.
God, okay.
You can say fuck as many times as you
Oh my
want.
God. You see my spiral? Like, okay. Yeah, I mean, you have your shit together. You are amazing. You're cool, which I think is really
Oh,
important, because
Yeah.
it is like we're taught like sobriety's like ho hum, and you guys are the opposite of that. And for women to be in those rooms and say like, and see you and see like, okay, not only is this possible, is it possible to quit drinking for years, but your life is so full and bright and better. And to see that example, I think is so important. And I love that you said that, that you didn't know that that's what was missing, because
Hmm.
I think a lot of times we think that peer support or these meetings are just for those like maybe first months or first year when you're trying not to drink,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And sobriety, I know for me and probably for you ladies, is just about so much more than not drinking, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
don't have to try not to drink anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's not even on my radar.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a misconception that we need that community in just that first year, maybe.
Yeah.
And then once we are good not drinking, we're kind of good. Like we don't need that peer support. And like I need peer support just in my life forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever. Just to have a room of ladies who get it, women who
Yes.
understand, who you're meeting already at the level. Like, we don't have to explain anything,
Hmm.
Yes.
right? Like, we
Yeah.
don't have to be
Yes.
like, I don't drink, but no, I'm not judging you if you do, or all of the disclaimers that we have to do, like, out there in the
Yeah.
world, which you also don't have to do them out there, but we feel like we have to do
Yeah.
out there.
Yes.
Those we're all on the same level. Like we get each other. And I think I will always need that for me and my mental health and to connect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like that I've I have always craved connection. I think that's why I drank. I always thought alcohol was like fast track to connection. Like
Yes.
Yes.
let's just drink and then tell each other everything, you know?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like, let's just like,
Yes.
our guard is down. And the problem is, like in my 20s, like I was the only one doing that. And and I'd do it to like the bathroom attendant, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's like, I don't even know their name and they're my best friend. And like, apparently that's not connection.
Yeah.
Like, that's
No,
not,
no.
yeah, that's not this like fortifying connection that I had wanted.
Oh,
And so now to like get that with you ladies and on the retreat and in the cafe,
yeah.
every week I get that. Like it
Yeah.
sustains me. It's not that I would start drinking if I didn't have it, but it makes my sobriety so much richer. And like I get that
Mm.
connection that I've craved like my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so good because I am an introvert through and through. And I think, especially when I gave up drinking, I'm like, hey, I'm so lucky. I have a best friend, two best friends from middle school, and they're still
Yeah.
in my lives. My other best friend from high school, like maybe that's it. Maybe that's the only friends I'll ever have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so lucky to have those connections. And then, like last year, I kind of made it a goal of mine to like open my heart up to women and connections. And then going on the retreat, it's almost like we are used to being vulnerable. We are used to being raw. We are used to going in the places that are scary to go and still
Mm.
trying it anyways. And I think that that breeds like a whole new form of connection for
Yeah.
people. And I've been so blessed by the connections that I've made throughout the retreat and sober mom life. And you're so right. It enriches it so much. Like I have these people that are living life just like me.
Yeah.
And it's the most like it's priceless, really. It is.
I
It
think too, it's so validating. Like so
yeah.
many feelings that we have that you might not want to word vomit on other people. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm not the like back to I'm not the only one. Like these are it's such a validating
Feeling.
process for
Yeah.
me. Like just
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, that you're not alone. That retreat, ladies, like that was magic. Like
it
that
was.
was I it was like pure magic, and it's
Yes.
so hard to describe. Like when we go back home, and I even mom and I did like the retreat recap, and I'm like it's like describing a color. Like I can't
Hmm.
tell you what happened at that retreat, and like how it was just so, for me, I really needed it. I had gone through a tough patch, business wise there, like leading up to it. And I really needed to know that, 24 women could all be together without drama, like without cattiness or cliques or any sort of like inside outside feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need and I had thought that that could happen before, and I still had hope that it could. And I wanted to see it and I needed to see it. And man, like it just blew me away. And it's so special to me. And that I will always, like, I will just always, 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 no matter how many retreats we have to come, that one I will always, always remember. And it's like so special.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
really
No,
was.
I agree. And I think too, it's
Chills.
like it feels crazy to say because we've said it before, but it really was life-changing
Yeah.
for me personally, like all of it. And two, then putting myself out there to join the cafe and just
Yeah.
all of it. And then it's like we say like the good spiral, you know,
Such a
it's
good spiral.
Yeah. The
like
good
just
spiral.
yes, because
Yes.
lots of those bad ones, but the good
And we
one.
all still talk every day.
Yeah, we do in the
I
chat.
love that
We're
so
Every
all
day.
much. I know I pop in there sometimes. I don't want to I don't want to be like, "Oh God, the principal's here." You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I'll
The
like pop in there
principal.
which the idea of me being a principal is hilarious. But you
Oh
know what I
God.
mean? Like I'll like
Yeah.
pop in there and I just
Yeah.
yeah. And you said put yourself out there. That's like what it requires too.
Yeah.
I think all of it, like all of it requires that. Like
Yeah.
putting
All of it.
yourself out there. Like what does that mean, right? That means like jumping when you have no idea, like no idea what's down there. That's what quitting drinking was for me. I consider it a jump that I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't know anything except this one thing that I don't want to feel like this ever again. And so
Yeah.
like that's all I know. And so quitting drinking was like that. Switching to sobriety content was like that. Starting the Patreon and then the cafe was like that. Doing the retreat was like that. Going on a retreat is like that. Like you're
Yeah.
like, what are we gonna do on a sober retreat? Is this gonna be weird? Is it gonna like we're not gonna know anybody else? Like even we had a lot of women who went alone with that
Yeah.
it's like am I gonna feel like on the outside? Like it just requires putting yourself out there. But then when you do, man, you'll get like what you get back in return is like indescribable, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
Yeah. Truly.
I think too, something that really like was thrown in my face because I think a lot of the time you do have to have a rock bottom. And
Yeah.
so, like, meeting you and also seeing a lot of women, a lot of people don't have to have a rock bottom to quit drinking, or like something like that. And two, the moderation, success, all of it. I
Just
think it's
sharing
just
stories.
the stories and all of it. I think it's so you're like the example of not a rock bottom, and I love that because when we tell people we're sober, they're like, oh, rehab, or things
Right.
like that. Or when we saw a person that I know from my past on the plane going to the retreat, and I was like,
Oh
a
yeah.
sober retreat, and he was like,
He was
oh,
like,
like,
Right. It's like,
oh,
oh,
okay, but just
tough
face
for
yeah.
down.
And I'm
you.
like, no, it's a
Yes.
good thing, but like it was,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
the rock
yeah.
bottom thing.
Yeah.
I mean it's easy to be bought into because that's what we've been taught. And that's like all of the quit lit that I read when I quit drinking, I was like, I loved them. I loved all of them, but it was missing my story. Like
Mm,
it was
yeah.
missing. I'm like, okay, but what about if you don't want to wait to lose
Mm,
anything else?
yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like
So
I
good.
guess I could wait. I could wait to lose more. But then I look around and I'm like, okay, well, what am I willing to lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When will it be enough? When I lose my license or when my marriage, my custody, all of this stuff, my job. And I was like, well, I feel like I have lost some of my self-worth
Yeah.
and time, right? And
Yeah.
for me, like that was enough. Um, Yeah, and when you just don't want to wait.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that can also be it can be a tough place to change from
Yeah.
because you're not kind of forced into it. That's hard on its own. Like that's hard in a different way. If
Yeah.
you're, an intervention, a rock bottom, a rehab, like that's hard in a different way. Changing from a place where you openly haven't lost a lot to alcohol, that's when you get the questions of like, no, I mean, you weren't that bad, right?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking, okay, well, I wasn't that bad. And it takes the shift in perspective,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is tough, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's
Yes.
more than possible.
Totally. And you have more room to jump when you're not at rock bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Look at
So,
you.
what,
That's good.
speaking of that, what's your next jump? Where are you going next?
Okay, you guys, speaking of a perspective shift. Okay, I wrote a book all about it. I wrote a book. I know.
That
It's
is
insane.
so cool. Wait, can we just give credit there?
Oh,
That is
thank
so
you.
amazing.
It's still wild to me to even like, yeah, to even say that and to just it's just wild. It's wild. It's wild. Um, so I wrote a book. It's called The Sober Shift, and it's a modern day guide to living an abundant, sober life. And
Love.
it's all about this. And it is, I can talk about this on podcasts and on Instagram and Substack and all day long, but it still doesn't cover the like how because people are like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. I want to quit drinking. I'm a moderation champion and I hate it. This vicious cycle, all of this stuff. And like, I want what you did, but you got to tell me how more than you can in an Instagram caption or a podcast episode. And so that's what this book is. This book is like literally going to walk you through from drinking to the decision and then everything that comes after while also like sprinkling in some science and this book will ruin alcohol for you. Like that's
I love
that's
it.
the
Yes.
goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like to show you the bright side of it. Um yeah, so it comes out September 30th. You can pre-order it now. And I'll be talking so much about it. Like I haven't even shared it on my podcast yet. I mean, they know about the book and that it's coming, but you guys are getting a little sneak peek because it
Oh,
hasn't like launched.
exciting.
We haven't launched the pre-order campaign or anything. But yeah, yeah, it's
Yes.
coming. Yay.
That
So
is so
exciting. I already
exciting.
pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. The sober shift.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So good. Well, thank you so much. Can
Oh my
you?
gosh, ladies. I love you guys so
Yes,
much. Like,
we love you.
ah, same. Same.
I know. I can't wait to hug you.
I know,
I know.
seriously.
I know.
We
I'm
get
like
to see each
counting down.
other.
I'm counting down. I cannot wait. Like this
Yes.
is, yeah,
And
can't wait.
you'll be a best-selling author by then.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh
I'm
my
gonna have to,
God.
you guys, I'm gonna have to come back on here when it's out and we'll talk
Yes.
about we'll like deep dive into
Yes.
Please
the
do.
book. We'll
Yes.
talk all about it.
Yes.
Yes.
We would love to have you back, and that would be
Yes.
so awesome.
You're stuck with me now. I'm just gonna show up. I'm just gonna show up on your door and be like, "Hey guys, want a podcast?"
What a
Hey.
treat.
Hey, we're fine with it.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
the type of
good.
girls we are.
Good.
So before we let you go, let everyone know where we can find you.
Okay, so I am at Suzanne Warye on Instagram. That's where you can see all of the bright side of sobriety and some like personal stuff. SuzanneWareye.com is coming shortly. That's where you're going to see all about the book and that'll be the hub for everything. Also, the Sober Mom Life podcast is where every week we talk about all of this stuff. And you guys have to come
Yeah.
on that too, PS. You have
Yeah,
to.
We
we
love
would
Okay.
love
to. Yeah.
to.
Okay. We'll
We
we'll make
accept.
that happen.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then what else do I have? Oh, in the
Sober
cafe.
mom. Yeah.
Come and join us in the cafe.
please.
I'll give you the link to share for a week free so that they can come try
Yay.
it out. Yeah. And
Yes.
try meetings and like go and it's not scary and I'm telling you it's the most supportive space on the internet. We
Yes.
work
Seriously,
very
we
hard to make
agree.
sure it stays that way.
So
Yay.
Yes.
sign.
Yay.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. We love
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Oh, I love you ladies. Thank
I
you.
love
We
you.
appreciate you sharing your story. And
Anytime.
listeners, we really hope you enjoyed it. And we love you, babes.
Talk soon.